Hi, my name is Joan Morton and I'm an advanced kinesiologist based here in Ireland. So I want to take you through a little bit of what kinesiology is and how it can help your animals. So a little bit about me. I am a fifth generational farmer. I was very fortunate to be brought up on a beautiful farm in County Cavan. We had dairy, and then we had beef cattle, and we had sucklers. And my dad has always kept horses, so we've always had ponies as kids. I had out of seven, I was the only one that was pony mad. We always had a mare and foal, and then we had 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, breaking young horses, and then my dad also drove pony and trap, pony and gig, and I have been very fortunate to have a father who was so in tune with his animals and who was very much about conformation, breeding, and also a great man to look after husbandry of the animals. As in, if they were unwell or sick, he knew exactly what to do and when to do it. A fantastic man to calve cows, where local people used to knock on the windows in the springtime looking for him to help because he was just a genius at calving cows. And so I grew up in a farm with a wealth of experience and knowledge working with animals. We dehorned cattle, we squeezed bullocks, so we did everything on the farm. And then with the horses, we had seen the mare and foal to the yearlings, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, the breaking, so you just learn a wealth of hands-on knowledge that, a lot of people are not getting now. So I trained as a chef, and I chefed for 15 years. I was on the junior Olympic team and we were 6th in the world in 1996 in Berlin. And when I chefed, I developed a sore back, and I ended up finding a kinesiologist. I had done different things, physio, sports massage, all these different things, and I didn't get better. I still had the issue. So my sisters are nurses, my aunts are nurses, and my cousins are doctors. So our general port of call would have been GP, X-ray, scans, medication, injections. None of this was working for me. And through the pain, I found a guy recommended this woman that did this thing. So I had kinesiology for the very first time in the late 90s. And I found it very gentle, non-invasive, and couldn't understand that this really simple thing worked on my back. And I wanted to know why. So I started my journey in the early 2000s training in kinesiology. So I did what they call Touch for Health kinesiology. The lady that I trained with brought in a guy from Australia who'd done neuroenergetic kinesiology. I did this training with him. He has a foundation. It looks very much at your brain and how the brain controls the body's systems. So if we have stress, how it can have a mental, emotional, physical, or biochemical reaction in the body. When I was studying in the kinesiology, all these light bulbs were going off for me in relation to animals that we had had growing up as a child, as a teenager, friends with horses who were lame, who I know had exhausted all avenues and still had a horse with an issue. So this was very key for me. I started using the kinesiology on animals. I had a brilliant example in the very beginning. One of my own horses kicked a gate. There was another horse the other side of the gate, and the mare got her leg caught in the gate, and she had swelling, and the norm is cold hosing. And I had just trained, just on the foundation. So I muscle tested and I went to see what she needed, and I used meridian lines on the body. So I simply ran the meridian lines where she was on an out farm, and there was no running water, so I couldn't cold hose. So I did the meridian lines on her, and I went away, and I went back 2 hours later, and a lot of the swelling was down, and I did the meridian lines again, and I went to work and came back 4 hours later, and her leg was nearly completely down. And I was amazed at how quick this worked. But you still think, oh, would it have done it itself? Would it just have cleared itself? But what I know to be true from using the kinesiology over the years is it has amazing results in very gentle sessions. And the reason being is we're testing the body's nervous system and the energetic field to see where is the issue and what it wants to get better. So I'm not going through a protocol for each animal. I'm asking its body, its brain, its nervous system, where is the issue and what it needs to get better. So this is where over the years I've worked with vets and physios and trainers and owners to help each animal get better. And I've had some fascinating results. Just my Morton method, animal kinesiology. In my clinic, I work with horses, I work with dogs, cattle, sheep, and the odd cat, and also people. So people were my first training, and I've had fascinating results with people as well. But my love is definitely animals, and I just really want to help as many animals as I can in the world using this and helping owners get to the root cause of the imbalance. Like, I mean, some people have fantastic horses and it's always something. And this is where kinesiology is brilliant, because we're not given medication, we're just simply testing and correcting as we go along. So a little bit about my background on my education. I studied kinesiology and I went on to be an instructor in kinesiology. So I'm a touch for health instructor, but I'm also a neuroenergetic kinesiology. So this is the advanced kinesiology. So I'm the director of the NK Institute in Ireland, and I developed the Morton Method Animal Healing, which I teach online for owners, trainers, grooms to help their own animals on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, if they've more deep stuff, they email me and I either go out and do a session or I'll do an online session for them. When I started working with horses initially, I went and studied equine anatomy and physiology through RACE. I did equine nutrition through RACE in Ireland. And then I also went to England and I did canine and equine massage, because I felt I wanted to know more about the body. And I sometimes felt that when I was testing, people were like, oh, she doesn't really do that much. I also went to see Dr. Kerry Ridgway because he was an 82-year-old vet. And I was very interested in him because he had physio. He was a vet, he had physio, he did sports massage, acupuncture, and he had a wealth of knowledge. And he was using testing and acupoints to correct. So it was great confirmation for me in the early 2000s to see this, that this was someone who had trained all their life and they were now using these points to correct imbalances in the horse's body. I went to see Manlo Mendez and he did in-hand groundwork, where again it was about keeping the horse's nervous system relaxed and getting the patterns out after using the testing and correcting. And I've studied myofascial release and many other trainings and CPDs in animal welfare. So the Morton Method kinesiology, it's new conscious kinesiology and healing. So it's about the energy that we also as practitioners go to the animal, whether we're a trainer or a groom or what's going on in our head affects our nervous system, and that feeds back onto the horses. So we need to be very clear when, in our own energy going out to these horses. So the energy and intention of the practitioner is so important, and I teach this when I'm teaching my students, to be aware of what you're going with to the horse, and also asking permission to work with the horse. Does the horse want to work with you today? Are you the best person for this animal as well? I don't go and think, right, well, I'm going to do this session on this horse because you asked me to do it on him. I will ask permission. I will ask the horse's body, can I have permission to work with you today? And the horse mightn't want it today. It might want it in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and that's okay. Sometimes we have to process stuff and be ready and open to make the change. And the same with people. So in a kinesiology session, people come with their horse they're having these issues. Sometimes they've been through the whole veterinary route and they've had x-ray scans and they still have an issue. And that's okay, because we can then test and see. So yes, I do assessment, movement, I look at conformation. I gather a picture of information of what's happening for the horse, but I still test to see what is the imbalance for the horse. So on the next slide, we have alarm points of the body. So these are, I have a photograph here of a human and a horse as if they were both standing in the same position with their arms upright. So these points on the body are acupuncture points, but they give us feedback as to how are the lungs, how's the heart, the pericardium, the liver, the gallbladder, the spleen, the pancreas, large intestine, triple heater, small intestine, bladder, and kidneys. So it gives us feedback as to how is the organ or the gland within the body, and we can look at structure and function. It's really good to, even though someone says, oh, the vet has done tests and think it's a liver issue, I will still always go into the body and go through all the points, acupoints, and see what is the nervous system telling me. So the next chart is of a horse, and it shows all these alarm points. So I'm just gathering feedback if it's over energy or under energy, and where is the point on the body, whether it's over or under energy. And it's just giving me feedback as to what's going on for the animal system. So when I find out that there's an imbalance, on these two photographs, you will see I'm using tuning forks on one, and on the other I'm using a light pen. Now these are sometimes I use my hand, where I'm actually touching acupoints to de-stress. I am using here in the tuning forks, I'm using them on the horse's chakra. So it's to change the frequency of what's going on in that chakra, which is affecting the nervous system. On the horse on the right, I am using an Orosoma light pen in stomach 1 or bladder 1 on the horse's eye here, to clear some of the energy within the bladder meridian. But again, I find the imbalance and I test for the correction. Here I am holding ting points on the horse's coronary band in the photograph on the left, where I'm holding the horse's hoof. And on the photograph on the right, you will see me testing, and I'm self-testing using my fingers. So I go through all the body's systems and test and see. I'll touch different acupoints and see whether we're working with structural kinesiology. We could be working with a foreleg and see if it's structure. Well, then is it bone, muscle, ligament, tendon, fascia? Is it the lymphatic system? Is it veins? Is it arteries? So it's given us a whole feedback, and it's finding imbalances. It's not diagnosing, it's finding imbalances, and we need to know what to correct it with. So then this is where I'll use acupuncture or acupressure points, and tuning fork, light pen, whatever it is that the horse needs to get better, then we use those points. So in the organs, you can look at structure and function, and we go into the organ structure. We look at all the organs parts, and then we also look at the function. So we have a stomach, and stomach is about digestion. You're looking at hormones, you're looking at the mucous membranes. So we're looking at the bile, we're looking at what's happening there in that organ. Very, very, very detailed, very to the point. So when we find an imbalance, we need to know what's causing it. So is it stress? Is it mental stress, emotional stress, physical stress, or biochemical? Or is it It could be you're giving the horse a supplement or feed, that's quite common, that is aggravating the system. So we will then maybe remove that for a while, allow the organ to heal, and then you could maybe reintroduce it, maybe at a smaller dose for a shorter period of time. It just depends from animal to animal what's going on. So I am going to show 4 case studies. So the first case study here shows race horses in 2008. They were failing to finish well in the races, and I contacted the race trainer and said, look, I can help you with this. So the vets had tested everything with no success. So they had swabbed the walls in the stables, they had done scopes, they had tested feed, they had tested the water, the bedding. There was no virus or no bacteria in the horses' systems. However, they weren't finishing their races. They were falling back. As soon as they would get 2/3 the way around, they would just drop back. Looked very much like there was viral or bacterial. So the racehorse trainer had taken them off track for 6 to 8 weeks at this stage, and I started with horses on the Thursday. I tested and I gave them feedback as to the last 4 horses that raced. And then I worked with horses that Thursday that were to run, the horse was to run on the Saturday in the point to point. And it was really great because it cleared the nervous system of the horse, and the trainer ran him on the Saturday and he won the point to point. And then I consistently worked with the next group of horses that was going for the track. So I worked with them on the Monday, they raced on the Tuesday. 3 horses were placed, 1 horse fell. And so as we progressed over the next couple of weeks, the horses were doing really well. And exactly 3 weeks later, the trainer had 3 winners in a row. So the horses did really well. And the 3 weeks, I would say that the body went through a 21-day cleanse. So the energy over the 3 weeks, the energy changed. So every 7 days, it would go through the chakra system and it would do clearing. So the nervous system gradually were getting better and better and better. So exactly 3 weeks later, they had 3 in a row, and they were really happy with the results. And like, horses can't tell us what's wrong. And there's a huge amount of information in a race yard, because we have the horses, we have the trainers, we have the owners, we have the grooms and managers. And then we also have people coming in, whether it's a physio or a doc or vet or chiropractor, so we have other farrier, we have other people coming in to join the team. And sometimes that unsettles the horse's energy. And some people, as you know, when you can have a horse and you can put a different rider on the horse, and the horse will respond completely different to each person. So it's really interesting to see. I have the curiosity in me is what's going on there. What is happening between these 2 people, and what needs to be sorted out? So is it the horse is unhappy, or is it something in the person, whether it's an old injury or what's going on? So it's really good to balance the horse and rider. So here we have case study 2. We have a pony that had a fractured pedal bone. This pony was box rested. He was box rested for 18 months. He was walked in hand. When he was brought back into work, he would be explosive. So he could be 10, 15 minutes. He became a little bit aggressive. He was unpredictable. So it was a vet that owned him. I went and did a session. He was a stallion pony as well, so they didn't want to give him calmers or anything like that, supplements, in case it would affect his fertility. He was a really good pony. And we did the balance, and it showed, so in the kinesiology that I do, we look at the brain and we look at the organs. So the brain showed stress, and that was affecting the adrenal glands. So I was able to follow the stress pathways within the body, de-stress the adrenals. And by the time I got home that evening, the owner, the vet, had emailed me and said, could this have worked so quick? So normally I would say that the body can take a couple of days to process. So it's like the levels start settling down after they've had a kinesiology session. And when I did the session that evening, she took the pony out and they were able to work with him for an hour and had no bother. So he went on to compete with, so the vet's concern was that this pony was to be ridden by children and that she wanted him to be safe for kids to ride. And they jumped him, and he was a European pony, and he went on to the European jumping circuit, and he was sold for 6-figure sum. So they were delighted with the results. I mean, it was really good to see him get his full potential that this person knew that he was capable of, but they had ended up with an issue and couldn't get to the end of it. So the next case study is about a mare with fertility issues. I work with sheep and cattle, pedigree sheep and cattle, for fertility issues, and also horses. So this mare was black type, really well, Sadler's Wells mare. A couple of vets had owned her and kept her for a few years and tried to get her in foal, and it was unsuccessful, and had done a lot of different things to encourage the reproductive cycle. So she'd cycle, but she wouldn't stay in foal. So through the kinesiology, we can test the whole reproductive system. So we can test the hormone aspect of it. So it's not just the physical structure and function. I'm able to look at the brain, how the signals get sent from the brain to the organs and glands. So it is really important that for an animal that for reproduction, male, or the male reproductive system, the female reproductive system, whether it's for a horse or a human, is really controlled by the brain and how we see it. So if we are in bad form or stressed in any way, this can have a knock-on effect on the reproductive system. So this mare, when I did the testing, it showed emotional loss. So when I went in and did the testing, I asked her about, so an emotional loss for a mare can simply be how the foal was taken away from her. So was the mare separated that she could see the foal? And different mares respond in different ways. Some mares are delighted, I'm great, he's gone. Other mares are very mothering and caring and would keep the foal forever. So it depends from mare to mare. So this showed that the mare had stress around emotional loss of a foal, which I de-stressed. And then we looked at the brain. It brought me into the brain areas, and I was able to de-stress the brain pathways. And then this looked at, so in order for the ovaries to function, the pituitary gland has to send follicle stimulating hormone down to the ovaries to say release the egg. And the uterus has to be ready also to catch when the egg arrives and the semen is there and it gets fertilized and then it implants in the womb. All these need to sequence, and this is where kinesiology is fantastic for reproduction, that I can help that system de-stress so that the sequence happens and then the mare can go into foal. So I look at the ovaries, the mammary glands, and the complete structure and function of the reproductive system. And so this mare, we did the session and the mare went into foal straight away with a live covering. So the mare was on her way to the factory and treated the mare with challenging fertility. So this was Sinead Meyer's feedback. The vet established everything was physically correct. I did the treatment. The mare cycled quickly and was ready for cover. She didn't keep on the first cover but went in foal on the second cover and produced a beautiful foal who went to Sweden and won a race there. So I have successfully treated horses for this woman for years ago, and she was delighted that the horse got a second chance to become a mare and breed. It's a great result and especially for the owner who's maybe struggling and has spent a lot of money trying to get this horse in foal or this mare in foal. It's quite a trying time and a lot of money. So it saves money and time if we can balance the systems before they go to the stallion, or even going to start cycling. So they could be cycling, and I found imbalances between the timing of ovaries, uterus, and the brain, the ovaries, and the uterus. It's timing imbalance. So my next case study is, I'm going to show you a video of a bullock, sorry. This was a champion bullock who ended up that he wouldn't weight bear on this hoof. And if you watch, the only person working on it, if it's a horse, sometimes people are given, it's under veterinary care and they're doing this and this, or maybe they've done that and then we're starting off afresh. So in this case, I had a video of this bullock that had joint was knuckling. He was not able to get any drugs because he was going to a beef and bull sale on the Monday. So this was on the Friday this first video was taken, and he had this leg was always the weaker leg, and he knuckled on it on the Friday before the sale. And the people were distraught because he had won a lot of shows and stuff locally. And I was able to go and test and balance acupoints down along his hind end, which helped him to rebalance his system. So he was also being fed a lot of feed, and the system, stomach and large intestine were overloaded. So we were able to test and de-stress the stomach and large intestine and help his hind end recover because it was showing the physical stress. So I did the session with him, and I said to him, let him rest tomorrow, which was Saturday. So the bullock lay most of the next day and rested, because normally they would walk them a wee bit just to keep them moving before the sale, obviously. And also my concern was that this bullock was going to have to travel in a trailer for 3 hours journey up the road from here to the sale. So on the Sunday, when the bullock got up, this guy sent me the video of the bullock walking, and his leg that was really bad was now better than the other hind leg. And he went to the beef and bull sale on the Monday. So he was 3 hours in a trailer, and trailer driving is very hard on any animal because they have to support their weight as we're moving. We're doing corners, we're doing braking, we're doing acceleration. Any of you that have stood in a trailer while it's moving will understand how difficult it is to stand. So the bullock went up in the trailer and he did really well. And he stood for 10 hours in the mart on a concrete floor. Now they would have bedding underneath them, but the leg withstood all the stress. And he did really well. He won 3 classes and he got reserve champion of the show. So there was 360 cattle at the sale. And here we have a video of him in the ring making top price, and then a photograph at the very end showing this beautiful bullock, supreme champion.
This is a reserve supreme to show this thing. This is a reserve supreme to show you this thing. This is a reserve champion is tank park. The big city is tank park. Our reserve champion is tank park. Champion in this case. There's only 2 cattle left this tank park. For a reserve champion. Tremendous doggies tank park. What is tank park? 3,000 pound weight pot. 2,000 pound weight pot. 2,000 pound. 2,000 pound. 2,000 pound at 1,500 bits, 16, 18, at 18 bar, at 18 bar, at 18 bar, at 15 bar, at 18 bar, at 2,000, at 2,000 bar, at 2,000, at 2,000 bar, at 2,000 bar, at 2,000, at 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 5, at 2,000 5, at 2,000 5, at 2,000 5, 2,000 5, at 2,000 5, the World Reserve Champion at 2,000 5, at 2,000 5, 2,000 5, at 2,000.
I also have a case study here of a Springer Spaniel who had a brain injury. So two dogs collided and this dog lost power of one side of his body. He was with a vet for 3 days. There was no improvement. So the family were asked to take the dog home to make the decision of what was the right thing for the dog. So the guy knew me through a friend and he arrived. He'd never experienced kinesiology before. When he came, we did a balance. So I worked with the dog and just tested and de-stressed. And for this dog, it showed brain lobes. So I tested and de-stressed using the kinesiology. So I simply muscle test and touch different acupoints and then hold different points on the body to de-stress depending on what it is that the animal needs. So in this case, this dog wanted brain formatting, so I test and de-stressed the lobes, and it only took 15-20 minutes. And I said to the guy, take him home, don't allow him to jump down off furniture because his coordination will be a little bit off and he would be more prone to injury while the brain isn't fully de-stressed. So just mind him for a few days. I handed him the dog. Now the dog couldn't, when you sat the dog upright, he would just fall over to the side that was no power. And the guy kind of looked at me as if to say, you know, yeah, right, okay, my dog can't walk. Like, how is he going to jump down off things? You know, he can't get up on it. He can't walk. How's he going to get up on things? So the owner came back to me the next day, and this was feedback. So his feedback from Gareth replied back and said Toby was very fit, hard-working, active dog. He had a collision with another dog whilst out hunting, and his first symptom was carrying his front leg. After a few hours, he could not move at all. After several visits to the vet, I was told there was nothing they could do. So the next day, the dog actually, when he went into the dog in the kennel, that he had a pen and a kennel for him, and the dog used to always sleep on top of the box. And when he went out the next morning, the dog was on top of the box and he jumped down off the box and he was 95% better. So you could just see a little bit of his front right paw that was paddling a little bit. So it was a really great result for me to see a dog who had issues and we were able to test and de-stress it. And so there's another case there at the very end, and this is Loki, the Irish wolfhound. So he was brought by a family and they didn't understand the feeding that was required for this dog. He stood in the corner of a kitchen and he became malnourished and he stopped eating. So the breeder took him back and a local lady took him on to recover him because the breeder had him and it wasn't working. Breeder was finding it very difficult to work with him, and he would only eat from your hand. So I was able to take the dog and test and correct what was going on for him. And with this dog, we balanced all the dog's organs, and it said that it would take 9 days for the kinesiology session to integrate. So I did what they call physiology formatting. So it looks at the organs, how they use oxygen, water, and energy. And I test and de-stressed all those pathways for this dog. So I said, it's going to take 9 days for this session to integrate. And the guy came back and rang me and said, you'll not believe what the dog did on the 9th day. So on the 9th day, the dog threw a feeding bowl across the kitchen as if to say, I'm ready to eat. So he went on to get up to 82 kilos was the last time I was speaking to them. So he went from being 52 kilos and he's now 82 kilos. So he's gone back eating and he's doing really well. So if anybody would like to contact me, my name is Joan Morton and joanmorton.com is my website. And my email is info@joanmorton.com. If you have any questions, or I do training as well in kinesiology. So I teach from basic foundation up to advanced kinesiology. I teach people how to do kinesiology working with their own animals. and I travel. So I have traveled Ireland, the UK, and also I'm taken by different yards out to Europe. So if I will be going to, I have been out to Australia, and I travel to different places with people who have animals that have issues. And I really like to find, I love this work, and I really love to find the underlying issue, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, chemical, nutritional. You know, there's so many things that impact our animals, and I love to be able to find what that stress is and help life work for the animal, for the horses. And it's mind-blowing to see sometimes how simple changes can have such a profound effect on these animals. And sometimes it's right in front of our face and we can't see it. And I love this work for the fact too, so some of the other horses we can't give medication if they're competing at a really high level. So kinesiology is fantastic to test and de-stress to help these animals in their programs. So Olympic horses that are, you know, some people have to drop out because they have to give a medication. And I've had the experience of where I've had to support some horses at a very high level who we couldn't give medication to, which was brilliant to see that the kinesiology is able to support animals in this way. And it's fantastic to be a member of a team going forward in that way. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation. If you have any questions, please drop me a message. Thank you.